We're good? All right, good people. What's going on? Daniel Frankson here, realtor here, your real estate resource expert in Atlanta. And
I am Jasmine Krnjetin with Jasmine Mortgage Team. I am a mortgage lender here in Midtown, and I'm happy to be here with you, Daniel.
yeah, man, always, man. I know you're a little tired, but good to be with you. So, March 2025, and we just really wanted to touch base like we do every month and give you guys a idea, snapshot of the market. And so, just starting from the real estate standpoint, a couple things I will share with you. I should say from the agent standpoint, a
Yes.
couple things I'll share with you. Um, March 2025, in terms of average home price in the market, we're looking a bit higher than we were in March 2024. Inventory has gone up a bit, which is not necessarily a bad thing for the market. You know, Atlanta, we've been experiencing low inventory for what feels like almost 10 years, a long time. So it's gone up a little bit, but not significantly. So there are options out there in the market. If you're a buyer looking to make something happen, this could be a good time from that standpoint. For sellers, note that the days on market have increased a bit based on this same time last year. And so that's a key thing I think we're gonna touch on a bit in this video. Well, later on in this video, give you some insight on what you need to do to prepare as a seller to put your best foot forward in the current market, right? But for buyers, I'll give you some insight on the rates and chat some more from there.
Yeah, sounds great. So, in terms of interest rates, things are looking good. We've had the average interest rates are hovering somewhere around 6.7% this
Okay.
month. We've come down. To give you some perspective, last year, this time, interest rates were closer to like 7.4%.
Oh, so almost a full percent.
Yeah, lower. So that's been really good. I feel like there has been increased activity um, in like a or interest, I should say, in like a certain segment of the market, and I feel like that's falling right like between 3 and 600.
Which makes sense. I can see that between 300,000 and 600,000.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like there is just a lot of people looking in that price range. And I think what's interesting in that price range is I feel like we're sort of living like in two realities. Right? You've got the homes that are perfect, that literally sell, have multiple offers
In a day.
in a day,
Yeah.
8, 10, 12 offers. And then there is the properties that sit 30 days.
And there definitely is some reason behind that. And so let's talk about that in a bit more detail. The 300,000 to 600,000 range, it makes sense from a realtor standpoint hearing that. I always explain to clients that when you're looking at the buyer pool, you kind of look at it like a pyramid, right? So at the top of that pyramid is going to be a $10 million buyer. They're few and far between.
Yeah.
At the bottom of that pyramid is going to be a buyer that can afford, let's just say, $100,000 home. The thing about it is the lower you go down on that pyramid, remember, everybody on the rung above you can afford at that level below. So the $10 million buyer can afford a $5 million home, can afford a $1 million home,
They can have
500,000.
any of it.
He can have anything down on that rung. Whereas
Yeah.
that $100,000 buyer, they may not necessarily be able to get up to that next tier, that $250,000, $300,000 home, whatever it is, right? So that 300,000 to 600,000 price point, I think that gives you a good idea of what you're working with in the metro area here in Atlanta. 300,000 probably is your entry point. But even then, that might be tricky.
Yeah.
And 600,000 now is definitely not going to get you what 600,000 would have got
Used
you
to.
10, 15 years ago. But bear in mind, like I said earlier on, prices continue to inch their way up. They're not coming down year over year. So my thoughts on that, if you're a buyer in the current market and you are within that range that we just discussed, 300,000 to 600,000, as a realtor, my advice to you would be prepared and ready to go once you hit the market. What does that mean? That means you want to have your conversation with your lender. You want to make sure that you're pre-approved, you're ready to go, you have all your documents in place, and what you're really looking for now is to secure a contract, get an appraisal, and have that run through underwriting before being closed. So I would say that the key for a buyer right now is just being ready to make that move, closing sooner rather than later. Right?
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that?
I think that makes a big difference, especially if you're going to be in a multiple offer situation. If you have a letter from a lender saying you've been fully approved, you don't need a financing contingency, versus you just printed some 3-minute pre-approval off the internet.
Call a name.
I'm not calling no names.
I'll call it. Rocket.
But if you do that, a seller is going to look at it. They're just not going to respond to your offer in the same way. And so if you have two buyers and one of them has a financing contingency and they need 30, 45 days to close, versus a buyer that has no financing contingency, they can close in 8 days. Same price. Which one is the seller going to pick?
Definitely. And in more cases, you're going to have the seller lean towards the one that's 8 days with less contingencies in place, because it's a stronger offer. It's a better offer. So again, buyers in the current market, even though inventory is up slightly, inventory is still low across the board. So you want to make sure that you are prepared and ready to go. As Jasmine said, her and her team can get you closed in as little as 8 days, and that's all loan types. FHA, VA, the works. So have all your ducks in a row, right? And ready to go when you're out there shopping. Now, on the seller side, the listing side, there are some things that you want to keep in mind. The market right now, from my vantage point, Jasmine, I would definitely say that because of rates, because of the current climate of the country, some things that probably don't have the energy to get into, many buyers are more interested in getting a home where everything is in place. When I say everything is in place, maybe the kitchen is updated, the bathrooms are updated, there's no major repairs or renovations that are needed to the home. It's essentially move-in ready, right? As opposed to a home that might be larger, maybe 1,000 square feet larger in the same neighborhood, but it has a 15-year-old kitchen, 15-year-old bathrooms. We're seeing that those homes, old carpet, right? Old carpet, and you know that little dingy yellow paint that was in play back in about 20 years ago. Buyers know these things, right? And so as a seller, what you want to do in this current market is you want to ensure that your home is up to that standard so that you can get the best deal possible, and don't sit on the market too long. We know traditionally in real estate, the longer your listing sits on the market, the colder you become, the less money you're likely to get. So in addition to pricing correctly, having the professional photography, having the proper promotion and marketing behind that listing, not just sticking a sign in the yard or listing it in the MLS. In addition to all of those things, you want to ensure that the home is it's move-in ready. It's been well maintained. It has the necessary updates, and buyers are going to appreciate that, and buyers are going to be willing to pay for that. Whereas what we're seeing in the market right now, buyers may not necessarily be willing to pay for homes that need those heavy upgrades, because that's going to require cash out of pocket, where they would prefer to finance and just keep everything in one bill. You've been seeing the same?
Definitely. I think that just with people having so much access to, looking at properties all the time, Instagram, all this kind of stuff, like I feel like people just kind of expect to walk into a home and they expect it to look like some of the homes on Zillow or whatnot, right?
Yeah, right.
Even though, honestly, I mean, I love when I see something that comes up with crappy pictures. I'm like, that's a deal right there. They didn't use a professional photographer. They don't know what they're doing.
It could be a deal, or it could just be one of my wonderful colleagues that just didn't want to spend money on the professional photography.
That's true.
I'm very picky about stuff like that. But even an agent called me out at an open house the other day and told me, I seen wires coming out of, the AV, TV wires, and a house at this price, you really shouldn't have that. And I'm sitting there to myself like, 3 wires? Everything else is pristine. But I had to take it because I said,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know what? If this were the buyer
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that was what turned them off, you want to make sure that everything is in place. And that's
Yeah,
how the
yeah,
market is responding to things right now. So
yeah.
you want to make sure that the listing is clean, pristine, it shows well, not only online, but in person as well. What you want are for buyers to come into that home and immediately feel and see themselves living in that home. What
Mm-hmm.
you don't want buyers to do in this current market, in my estimation, is go into the home and start with a checklist of, I'm gonna have to spend money to do this, I'm gonna have to spend money to do that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
think about it.
Yeah.
Just painting a 3,000 square foot house is gonna
It's
cost you a
yeah,
couple
yeah,
thousand
yeah, yeah.
dollars. So have all of that in place in advance, and I think that's gonna get you to the closing table sooner rather than later with more money on the back end.
And
Mhm.
I also feel like it's as a seller, you're it's going to feel like you're investing this money and you're kind of trusting that you're going to quote unquote get that money back,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But investing the money right now, like investing that $2,000-3,000 into paint,
Mhm.
will make you an extra $7,000-8,000 because people just don't have to look past the pink and the blue and the crazy stuff that you've got going on, which
Right.
is cute, but
Mhm.
it needs to look pulled together and you will
I
make
agree.
that money back.
I agree, and I'd also say that this is a market that probably more so than many others in over the past couple of years calls for professional staging.
Mhm.
The market
Mhm.
pays attention, so
Yeah.
buyers are taking note. If your furniture looks dated,
Mhm.
that can make the house look dated as well. So keeping that in mind, or if the house has a room that you can't quite make out what it is
Yeah.
just through
Yeah.
pictures
Yeah.
or even in person, staging that space, again, now more than ever, I think is going to help the buyer pool make a decision
Make
a lot sooner.
sooner.
So you're not sitting on the market too
Yeah.
long. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But before we wrap up, just to switch gears slightly, I do want to send a lot of appreciation and thanks your way because not for the first time, and probably not for the 10th time, you have come in, you and the team have come in and saved a deal, right?
Yay! I love
You come in and
it.
saved a deal. So, to be as respectful to our client and not
Yes.
say too much, just to give you some oversight, it was a situation, new construction, lender wasn't able to do it, get the loan approved. A second lender came in. They said that they could get it done in 30 days. They were very confident. This was back in November of 2024. Fast forward to February of 2024. They still need more time.
Gosh.
I don't know how much time you need to close a loan. Like you
Yeah.
have all the documents. Like
Yeah.
what's the. So it got to a point where it was just dragging on, dragging on. So that deal was terminated and the buyer came to you, and in their words, when they sent you an initial text message, they got a phone call immediately and they were off to the races.
Yeah.
And let's put it this way. Maybe 2 days from there, they saw a home, they made an offer, and 10 days thereafter, about 10 days, 10 to
Yeah.
12 days, closed in
Closed.
their new home. So you guys did in 2 weeks what a number of lenders weren't able to do in about 6 to 8 months. So
Yeah.
how did you do it? That's the magic trick. How did you do it?
I know. Well, I think it's just a matter of when you have a client, just understanding the full situation. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying that we're miracle workers,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also we communicated very, very clearly with our client on what it is that was needed. To her credit, she was willing to do exactly
Yes.
what was asked of her, and she was very, very quick about it because she
Mm-hmm.
was ready to be in a home.
Ready
She's
to
like,
be there.
she got a phone call like 2 days before Thanksgiving. She was supposed to close before Thanksgiving. She got a phone call
The day before.
day
Day
before,
before
and she was
Thanksgiving.
and they were like, "Sorry, we can't do it."
Mm-hmm.
So I told her, I was like, "I'm either gonna tell you a quick no,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm gonna say yes, and then it's gonna happen, right? But we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have to do things." So I think she was a very motivated buyer,
Mm-hmm.
and she was willing to do what needed to be done. And I think, honestly, I think the other lenders were just they just weren't, they just didn't know. They just didn't know what needed to happen to pull it together.
And I think that's a great point that maybe we'll build on in more detail in another video.
Yeah.
But I think based on what Jasmine just said, here's something that you guys can take away from this video, if nothing else. Just like you wouldn't look at one attorney and another attorney and think that they're both the same because they're attorneys, it's the same in the real estate industry. Not all loan officers or lending teams are the same as others. Not
Yeah.
all realtors are the same as others.
Yeah.
And I don't say this to put anyone down. That's never the objective. There are some folks that are more skilled, more knowledgeable, and more motivated than others. And sometimes it's about fit. So maybe, buyer A might fit better with lender A.
Yeah.
But it's about ensuring that who you're dealing with has the experience and the knowledge of how to get to point A to point B in the most efficient manner possible.
Yeah.
And you guys definitely know how to do that. And so, again, just to highlight, no, right out the gate, is this a yes or is this a no? Can we get this deal closed? If we can get the deal closed, here's the roadmap how to get it done.
Yeah.
Buyer, do you understand? Buyer agent, do you understand? Wonderful. Let's communicate this to the listing side now. Now that we have
Yeah.
everything in place,
Yeah.
here's the plan of action. Here's what we need everyone to do. And you guys really steer that ship and navigate so efficiently that, again, to your credit, at the closing table, first time it's ever happened to me, seller's agent, and the attorney all said, do you mind if we get the lender's contact info? Of course. I would never gatekeep you guys. But, when I say you guys are great, you guys are great. And so based on that, we have a happy homeowner.
Yes,
And
we're so excited for her. She totally deserves it. She's such a lovely lady. So
yeah, man. So congrats to them. And as always, if you guys have any questions, needs, have some insight that you need to gather about the current real estate market, whether you're looking to buy, whether you're looking to sell, whether you're looking to refinance here in the Atlanta metro area, or even if you're looking to finance a deal somewhere else in the country, Jasmine and team can help.
we got you.
I can also assist from that standpoint as well, but we're here and we're definitely looking forward to being your real estate resource. And so we'll catch you next month in April. Until then, no more Christmas parties in March. All right?
Peace out.